FF Wigs here today, bringing you yet again another mock draft 2 video. In today's video, we are going to be covering rounds 9 through 12. It's a little bit deeper within the draft, so I hope you guys are enjoying this because we explain why we pick certain players and we kind of dig into some of the CPU as well. Hopefully, we can get like a full group of people in a mock draft to get a more accurate prediction, but I'm hoping that Sleeper has some sort of database that they go off of, whether that's like gathering all the insight from everyone that's drafted so far in leagues and all of that. But I hope that's kind of what they do. Tomorrow's video will be rounds 13 and 14 and a brief recap of the whole draft of where we'd possibly change things on up. I know there's a few things personally that I would maybe do different within this, especially within these picks here. I think I maybe touched on it a little bit in the last video, but like I said, a few things I would maybe change on up, and yeah, I'll let the video do its talking for itself in a few days. Be ready for our first QB ranking as well. I know this is a bit of a longer intro, but I do apologize here in advance. Just wanted to get that out there. Be prepared for future videos, and we'll see you next time.
Talent like Keon, and I think he could actually genuinely have a good year as a rookie. And I think going into this round, considering the fact that I have 5 receivers already, 2 running backs, I think I have to consider taking a running back or a quarterback here. I think there are some options on both ends here that I could pick from, but I'm going to stick to what I said earlier in this offseason to you. I think there's a lot of depth at quarterback this year, and I think I might be able to chance it here. Possibly. Let me take a look here. Oh, this one's tough. This is actually a really tough pick for me right now. Um, Brian Robinson was taken already. I don't know if I'm sold on Eckler. Devin Singletary, no offense, that offense is just not going to be it for him. Maybe. I think I actually end up taking a quarterback here. I think I'm going to go with Brock Purdy. I know I
Not a bad
have.
pick, and I think Coleman was a good pick for you too. In the other round, I could see him being one of the top rookie receivers this year, just based on the weapons that the Bills have. So
Yeah, I think he could be top
I think he
three.
did well. I think he did well on that pick. So
And I think Brock Purdy's pretty good too with the weapons with CMC and Debo, Kittle, Ayuk. Like he's got so much he can do, and he showed it last year. So I think that was safe. I think other than that, I might have gone probably with Tua, but I didn't really want to go with the same quarterback, same receiver. So I think we see a quarterback and wide receiver taken here.
I think what I'm gonna do here is I think I'm gonna take a wide receiver. Again, as I mentioned, I put a lot of value on wide receivers. I like to have multiple wide receivers over multiple running backs. I'm, I know some people might not be as high on this pick as me, but uh, I have a feeling that he's going to be a good asset to this team this year, and he's going to have a good season. So I'm going to go with Jamison Williams here. I feel really good about that pick, especially given the other wide receivers that I have already. To me, this is a pick where I could easily say, okay, take a chance on him, and if he pops off, that's great. That could put me into position, like I always tell Wiggs, I'm always thinking ahead. Maybe there's a potential for a trade if he starts doing well to solidify my team down the road. So I'm gonna go with Williams here, and then the next pick I'm kind of torn. Uh, but I'm gonna go with QB here, and I got to do it just because I know other people um, in
Goff.
my league think I'm crazy, but I'm going
Jared
with Jared
Goff.
Goff.
Yep.
And I'm high on Jared Goff this year. He had a statistically last year, and from a yards perspective, from a TD throwing perspective, he was actually better than Patrick Mahomes. And I don't think there's anything that I've seen with Detroit's offense that's necessarily going to slow him down this year. So I'm comfortable with taking Goff here.
I don't disagree with that pick at all. I think Jared Goff is underrated, and he's had back-to-back seasons of over 4,000 yards. For me, I don't know, looking at this board, if I would have picked Jamison Williams or Cortland Sutton or Shakir or Samuel over the guy I'm going to take next. Um, and it might even benefit certain people a bit more if a certain trade goes down that I've been seeing rumblings on, the X timeline. But for me right here in this spot, I'm thinking one of two ways, but I'm not going to mention one of them yet because I don't know yet. But for this first pick, I think I'm going to lock down my running back crew here just a little bit more. Let me just scroll through to make sure I'm not missing anything. I'm going to go hot take. I know you're not a fan of the team. You wouldn't draft said player, but I'm taking Zeke. I think him around the goal line is always nice for potential touchdowns. Doesn't even have to pop off in the passing game or anything. If he just gets a few goal line touches and gets me a touchdown a game as a backup, so be it. If my two other guys can just stay healthy, I wouldn't even have to worry about it. Looking back on it, maybe I could have drafted Zach Moss or Brian Robinson instead of Keon Coleman, but I kind of like my pick. I'm taking Zeke a little bit late. I know it might be a bit of a hot take, but he is back in the Cowboys offense, and they are bound to use him in the red zone, especially within the five, because he's, pound it to the ground type of running back. Like he likes to get into the end zone and get the ball quite a bit. But to move on to my point of picking certain receivers before said player, looking at the board, even Dobbs, I wouldn't even consider before this guy, and I've heard potential trade talks about a certain player reuniting with a certain quarterback, and I think getting this player this late is kind of a steal. I'm going to go Jacoby Myers. Because I've heard talks that there's some works and maybe the Jets trying to work something out with Devontae Adams. Now, how true that is, I don't know, but I wouldn't put it past them. Reunite Adams with Rodgers and then 1-2 punch with Wilson, that'd be kind of nuts.
Yeah, and I actually don't disagree with that pick there. I think Jacoby Myers is underrated. Um, so I don't think that's a bad pick at all.
And I think I
So
could have even taken him the round before and maybe just settled for Brown as my running back as a backup because I think he'll be involved in the passing game quite a bit in Cincinnati. But I don't know, something just right there at this moment just feels right about taking Zeke. And I know that might be different for you, but
well, right here, I think I'm gonna go, and this might, some people might not agree with this approach, but I'm actually gonna go with tight end at this spot. I always like to kind of look at drafting two tight ends if possible, just to um, cover my bases. And I'm actually kind of surprised that this tight end's still here. And given the fact that Brock Bowers, who I do think is going to have a great year, so I don't second guess taking him when I did. I'm comfortable with Brock Bowers where he's at, but he's a rookie, so who knows? He could stumble. I think
oh,
I'm gonna go with
Cole
Komet
Kmet,
from
yep,
Chicago here,
yep, I like that.
and uh, I think Caleb Williams is gonna be looking to him a lot, and I think that Komet's gonna, I don't think he's gonna, explode like some of the other tight ends, but I feel good about going with him right here uh, as my backup tight end. And then in this pick, we're getting a little bit deeper, and I think I'm gonna. I think I got a couple different options here. I could go quarterback,
Could go Jerry
and
Judy.
get a backup. I could go another wide receiver, which I'm always you know a big fan of doing. Um, I'm not necessarily set on always having having four running backs. I'm comfortable with the three I have. So I'm so right now I'm kind of thinking, okay, I think I'm gonna go wide receiver. And so looking at my options, uh, I'm gonna go with Judy.
I like that
Again,
pick for that
it's a
late.
shot in the dark. Um, Obviously, he's got other receivers in Cleveland that he's going to be competing with. Uh, but I, I, I just I think there's a lot of upside with Judy. Uh, I'm very comfortable with that.
Let me ask you this here quick. Let's say Cole Kmet was off the board because looking at that team 11, the CPU that we have there, if they ended up taking Cole Kmet, which I think if it's a real person, I think Kmet's off the board before he gets to you, who would you have picked as like another option? Like would it have been another receiver or running back? Like just gives
Had
people some
Komet
insight
not been
there.
there, I would have waited to taken a tight end, and I probably would have taken a receiver. Whether it would have been Judy or depending on if somebody else was out there. Let's say maybe Mike Williams was out there.
Yeah.
Cause and some I would have considered that. So that's kind of what I would have looked at that position. But with Komet being there and falling in that spot, I just felt like, especially given the fact that I drafted a rookie tight end earlier, which again I'm really high on Bowers. I don't want anybody to mistake me drafting Komet as an indication that I'm second guessing myself, because I'm not. Bowers will be my starter, but I feel like Komet would be a good bye week candidate to replace him. And if Bowers does stumble, I think Komet would definitely be a solid tight end to put in to replace him.
I think Kmet even in this spot would probably be your tight end one. Don't get me wrong, he doesn't have fields like he did last year, but Cole Kmet was kind of slept on last year, and like he was like top five, and he was having like an insane year. Almost, I think he had almost 1,000 yards, and he had a ton of touchdowns. Like he had a pretty solid year. So like getting him this late in any draft is kind of nuts to me. I could totally see people like dropping down earlier in the draft to pick him up as well, but
Well, and like we talked about before, the one thing I've always said with a rookie quarterback, he's got two friends, the running back
in the
and the
tight end,
tight
yep.
end.
So I think getting him when you did is like really good. I was even considering him with one of my two picks prior, but I just felt like I needed to lock down a running back and I couldn't pass up on Myers. But I was definitely considering him within those two. And I think if I had a third running back earlier, like if I would have taken Brian Robinson over Coleman, um, I would have taken Komet this round as well. So I really like that pick. Moving into this round here, for me at least, this is a little bit of a tougher spot because I'm not one to typically like consider drafting a second quarterback in a draft. I usually don't actually take a second quarterback, but I'm in a spot right now where I have options because I have Kirk Cousins, I have Aaron Rodgers, and I have a few other people down further on the board, and I think I might actually be able to wait with me thinking about it. I might actually take a chance here on a player. This would be a major chance here. Just trying to think if that's the move I want to make here. I don't think I don't know if I can pass up on Kirk O'Chains or Aaron Rodgers here. I was thinking maybe J.K. Dobbins, but he just never stays healthy. Maybe like strengthen up my depth there at running back, but I just like